Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm joined by Peter Darling and he's going to talk to us about songwriting. So we're going to go over some songwriting tips and have a general conversation about songwriting. So if someone wants to write a song and they have no ideas, do you have any tips for inspiration or how to get started?
Yeah, I normally find when I'm writing a song, I need to feel emotionally invested in what I'm writing. Even if I'm writing not for myself, I might be writing for another artist or I might be writing for even an advert. I feel like I want to be personally invested in the song. So oftentimes what I'll do is I will try to think lyrically about, okay, how can I feel invested in this? Do I create a character which I feel reflects some of the things I've been feeling in my daily life? Or maybe I just write about what's going on in my life and the emotions that I'm feeling. As soon as I make it feel more personal and emotional, then I'm more likely to get invested in the song I'm writing. So that's what I normally do, is I normally try and think about what's bothering me, what's exciting me at that present moment, and try and start there. That's my first thing that I would do, I think.
Do you ever find it difficult to write songs about your own experiences or about yourself? Do you ever think people might laugh at you, or are you ashamed to show your true colours, or like actually talk about your emotions? Because it can be quite difficult to talk about what you're actually feeling, what you're actually thinking.
Yep. It's a constant terror in my personal and professional life. So often what I like to do is I like to write in character. I'm really fascinated by history. I'm really fascinated by folklore. And what I'll often do is I like reading about weird stories and then seeing if I relate to a certain character. I have a song that I wrote years ago called Forever Yours, which was at its heart a love song, but really it was me finding out about this mathematician called John Wallis, who he was one of the precursors to Isaac Newton, who obviously he did pretty well. But John Wallis almost didn't become a mathematician. He was in the church, and then he ended up marrying someone, and then ended up discovering lots of things mathematically, which then aided the discoveries of Isaac Newton. So I found that really interesting. That for me was a fresh way of thinking about, maybe I could write a song from the point of view of John Wallis writing to his future wife, and just that way I found an angle that I felt was interesting and a fresh way of writing a love song. And I think a key thing for me, at least, is I want to be able to write about a common subject that loads of people can relate to, but then in a fresh way, in a way where people go, oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought of it that way. That's my aim.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
They have a lot of historical references in their songs.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's important, because you want to be able to set yourself apart from everyone else. You want to be able to say, well, I do this, but I do it in this way. And that's often what a lot of artists are aiming for, is they want when you hear one of their songs to go, for the listener to go, oh yeah, that's an Iron Maiden song. And so a lot of that sometimes comes down to like the performance, so whether you recognise the vocalist, but a lot of that can also come down to just the type of chords they're using, just the type of melodies that the person sings, the lyrics, the semantic fields that they use, the type of words that they're using. All of these things feed into something being uniquely a song by an artist.
Do you think it's important to kind of create your own signature sound, or to just experiment and then kind of see what happens, and then hopefully you'll develop your own signature sound?
I would say the latter. I think that my best tip is, if you want to get better at songwriting, write loads of songs. And a lot of those songs will be good songs. A lot of those songs will be bad songs. A lot of these songs will be fine songs. But the more that you write, the more you become more confident in your craft, and the more that you'll start to see not only what you respond to in your songwriting that you like, but then also as well, you'll see what your potential audience responds to as well. So I've found for me, I've written a lot of songs for myself that I thought were amazing, and then lots of other people did not think were amazing. But then when I write in character, there's a lot of people who connect to the songs more in an emotional way. And so that's something I often aim to do now. I think, all right, can I write from a character's point of view but still put myself into it? So I would recommend that. That's taken me years to get to that point. And I'm definitely not at the point where I feel like, oh, I'm nailing it every single time. I write lots of really bad songs. I just don't let anyone hear them. But through all those bad songs, I've learned things, and also within any bad idea, I feel like there's at least one good thing that I can take from it. I can refine it. I could even just take it out of the song, use it somewhere else. Every single time you write a song is a learning process, and it's useful.
I was going to say, so when you're writing a song, there might be a couple of ideas that you could use somewhere else. Do you have a big library of previous ideas, or do you just have a load of random like Logic Pro projects everywhere?
I try to every now and then I try to be organized, and I go, right, I'm going to organize all my Logic projects. And so I try to anyway when I'm first starting with Logic, like create a folder that's specifically meant for me maybe, and then it might be like random ideas, and then I will sometimes, if I'm just stuck for ideas, I'll go through them and just hear what nonsense I've come up with before, and then see if I can use it. And that's been really helpful in the past. And then also sometimes I'm just really disorganized, and I've got stuff on my phone, I've got stuff on a computer over there, I've got stuff, yeah, I wish I was more organized. But yeah, where I can, I try to be organized, and then I forget.
Yeah, sometimes with me, I might spend several hours writing maybe a 10-minute piece of music, and there might actually only be a few seconds that I think are any good. Absolutely. So I kind of take that few seconds out and build on that and kind of scrap everything else.
Absolutely.
But then, yeah, sometimes I forget I even wrote that small bit that's any good, and it gets lost in the hard drive somewhere.
One of my favorite artists is Radiohead, and they often will use a method where they're just jamming ideas out, and they will jam ideas out for like hours on end, and then they'll come back to what they recorded and they'll go, oh, that 8 bars or 16 bars or just that 30 seconds we really, really like, let's make something out of that. And that's important as well. I think just the ability to persevere. So like they could have easily gone like 10 minutes into them jamming, they could have easily gone, oh, well, we've not found anything, let's just give up. But actually, they persevere, they keep going. And then to be able to come back to what you did and be able to look at it, analyze it and go, okay, I'm not so sure about this part, but this part I think is something we can develop, is a really key part of being a songwriter. It's being able to not only persevere and even when your head might be saying, that's rubbish, like still keep trying to create something, but then also to come back to it, look at it with an analytical eye and say, this works, this needs refinement. That's really important as well. I think for me, the big thing that I've had to grow in is to not be my own worst enemy and to just constantly be berating every single idea I come up with. My head naturally does that anyway, and so for me, it's been a case of being able to go, almost encourage myself and say, there'll be something good here in what you're doing. Like persevere, keep going, you'll find something. Whereas for some other people, it might be that they think everything they write is amazing, which, I'd love to feel like that. But the key for those sort of people is to be able to go back and say, okay, maybe not everything I've written is amazing. What could I improve? And sometimes I find a lot with, I teach songwriting at university, and I normally have. I find there's normally a spectrum of students who go from thinking everything they do is rubbish, and I know that my job is to encourage them and to be able to find the good in what they've written. And then I have students who think that everything they write is amazing, and I have to say to them, okay, let's look at what needs refining, and to be able to analyze what you do in a clear way that's not an emotional way is really important as a songwriter as well.
Yeah, I guess that's why a lot of songwriters have kind of grown up in bands, because if you're writing a song in the band and the part's not very good, the guitarist or the bass player might just tell you that bit's rubbish, let's not use that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're working by yourself, you can just constantly just go through ideas, and you might not even know what's good and what's bad sometimes. For me anyway, that's why I like to collaborate with people a lot, because if you're working with someone and something sucks, if you're working with the right people, they're going to tell you that sucks. And if something's amazing, you might not even be sure it's amazing, they can tell you it's amazing. So it's just a quick way to kind of build ideas together, and vice versa. You can tell them what's great and what's rubbish. It's probably what you do with the students. This bit's awesome, this bit's terrible. Get rid of that.
And I found when I was younger, like I wanted to nail everything myself and just be like, I will make this the perfect song by myself, and I will do all these things by myself. I've realized more and more, like I am sometimes the worst judge of the quality of the work that I produce. I need to collaborate with others. I need to be able to give others my piece of music and go, what works here? What do you think needs improvement? And then also to kind of be able to be accepting enough that someone may not like what I've done, and can be quite critical of my work. I struggle with that. Like sometimes I get really precious about ideas, and then someone I thought would like it is kind of like, this bit needs some work, and then suddenly, my world has ended. Whereas actually I think that it's something I'm still trying to learn. But more and more I'm realizing, like, writing songs is a collaborative thing. Even if you're not writing with someone in the room, just even be able to send people you trust stuff and they'll give you an unvarnished, honest opinion is really helpful.
So Pete, do you have any tips for starting a song? So do you start with the lyrics? Do you start with the chords? Do you start with a drum beat?
I would say that I try to have as many different ways into a song as possible. All of those suggestions are really good ways to start a song. But I used to just start and try and come up with a chord progression. And then from there, I like to call it schmurner-murring. Then from there, this is a technical term, and then I would try and come up with a melody out of that. So I might go like, and then from there, I might be making a certain word and then come up with lyrics from there. I still sometimes use that technique.
So we'll use placeholder lyrics? Or,
yeah.
So kind of like scrambled eggs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yesterday.
From yesterday. So that's what Paul McCartney did. He just put random words in there and go from there. I'm finding more and more I try to avoid that process. I think because what happens is I end up writing too similar a song. So I end up writing songs where I'm thinking about the chords as I'm singing the melody. So often I found if I'm writing with chords first, where my vocal enters will often be after I change chord, if that makes sense. So I'll go da-na-na-na-na. So I'll play the chord and then I'll start singing, which means that all of my vocals end up coming in on like beat 2 of the bar rather than on the beat. So now what I sometimes do is I might come up with chords, but as soon as I can, I'll record them. I'll put them into Logic, and then I'll start thinking of a melody without having to play the chords at the same time, because then I can just concentrate on melody. I don't have to think about the chords. I can just focus on the melody, and I often find my melodies are more varied. They've got different shapes. they enter in at different points. So I try to and not be beholden to one process. I think the more I can open myself up to, like, me going, oh, I really want to write a song about this person. Like, this person interests me. And I start with lyrics and then I move somewhere else. The more I can vary up my process, the more that it stays interesting, I think, is important to me, because I write a lot of music, and it's really hard. It's really easy for it to become quite routine, and be like, right, okay, well, I'm writing a song now, and I just kind of do the same stuff. It's important for me that I'm challenging myself. I'm trying new things. That I'm enjoying the puzzle and the mystery of songwriting, and so I find different processes help that.
So do you tend to write in the same or similar keys, or do you just kind of try new keys all the time, or do you think it doesn't matter, whatever key?
I really think it matters, because I think that the right key for the right vocalist is really important. So I've realised that so when I'm talking, my voice gets quite deep. However, I've for years been trying to write songs with really high vocals, and actually it doesn't really suit my voice. So if I'm writing for an artist, so if I'm writing with someone, I'll often think about, okay, what notes do they sound really good hitting? And then I might choose the key for that. For me, I have found I really like writing in like F, round about F to E flat major, because all of the notes lower down, I feel like I can sing quite comfortably. So, so all of those, like, I don't have to really strain to hit those. So if I'm writing for myself, I'm trying to write in my lower range. I'm also writing a lot of songs for myself at the moment, which are I want them to feel more like it's someone just chatting and it's conversational. So normally in conversation, the pitch of where I'm speaking is quite low, so it feels more natural to have a lower melody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're probably not going to use too many notes as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to suddenly be going, because like I never speak like that. It's like, you know. For me, it's finding a key that fits the character who I'm writing from. So like suddenly singing high and having a key where I'm really straining, maybe I'm writing from a character's point of view, which feels kind of anguish and torment. Maybe a key where I can really push notes out is good, because it kind of encaptures that emotion that the character's feeling. But keys are really important. Being able to know what notes you sound good singing, or whoever's going to sing the song is knowing what notes they sound good singing. That's so important, because a good song is not just the song. It's often the performance of it. It's the production of it as well. And making sure that it's how you package the song as much as it is the song. That's really, really, really important, and even more important in the current musical climate as well.
So my next question is, what essential bits of gear do you think a songwriter needs at home or in their studio?
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Something you can record your ideas on, something that you can record ideas on top of that idea.
So not just a phone, not just voice memos.
No. I still think voice memos are good. So maybe it's like something that you can really quickly record an idea and just get it down for you to refer back to later. I would also then say something like a DAW, like Logic or FL Studio or Pro Tools or Ableton or GarageBand or Cubase, something which you can record an idea down and then add more stuff to it. But it really can be, I feel, just anything you feel comfortable with. I started out using Audacity, that was how I started. I did, it was on my mum and dad's computer, and Audacity was free, and I bought like a 10 quid, like one of them wireless internet mics that you chat to, nothing like this bit of kit, and that's how I started working. Like I just, and that's all you need, I think, at the start. As you go further and further along, I'd recommend get more kit or gear that can help different situations. So for example, in a co-writing situation, if I'm writing with an artist, I really love the Shure SM7 because you can be recording vocals and it doesn't really pick up much background noise, which means you can keep the track playing whilst you're coming up with ideas, and the vocalist can record and it doesn't bleed through into the microphone, which is great because I love the idea of being able to listen to the track, come up with ideas, record it instantly, and kind of not kind of break the momentum where you have to then put headphones on and everyone has to sit quietly while you record some vocals. So that's kind of where I'm at in my process is thinking of gear that can have small, really practical effects to the creation process.
Do you have any go-to sample libraries or go-to synths or instruments?
I am loving the soft piano on Spitfire Labs at the moment. Yeah. It's free and it sounds great. It sounds so good. And I just think it's great. I can't believe that it's free. I genuinely can't. And they've got loads of really interesting instruments which just don't sound like Logic sounds. I think often I just get tired because I work mainly in Logic right now. I'm tired of all of the standard Logic sound. No shade on Logic. Like it's really, they have really great instruments. I'm personally looking for things that sound a little bit different, a little bit wonky, a little bit imperfect. And I found the Spitfire Lab stuff is really great at the moment. And they also, I'm finding I'm being inspired by those sounds. So they make me want to write with them because they're so interesting and unique.
Ever experimented with found sounds? So going out with a recorder, recording weird sounds and sticking it in a sampler?
I've never done that. One thing that I love to do is taking voice memos. So taking like an imperfect signal, an imperfect recording, putting it into Logic and then playing around with that sound. Because I think I'm not the best producer in the world or in definitely not in this room. Like if I'm producing, I'm not going to make the best mix in the world. I've accepted that. So instead, I like to play around with imperfections, things like hiss as well. I love using vinyl by Isotope as well. Just putting that either on the master channel or on certain instruments and just kind of making things feel less perfect.
I think with some of your music, like Vermilion Bay,
yeah,
right? That was kind of recorded, not perfect. It was a lot of hiss, a lot of background sound, but it really fit the mood. I think if it was perfect and shiny and used a really great preamp, it probably wouldn't have the same mood and the same kind of character to the recording. So sometimes being imperfect can be perfect.
And also as well, I really wanted with that song to I really wanted to record it all in one take as well, and because I'm technically not a very good vocalist, so when I'm recording vocals, often lots of stuff's out of tune.
Sometimes that's better. Like Tom York's not technically a great vocalist, but he is a great vocalist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you don't have to sound like Mariah Carey to be a great vocalist. Sometimes I like the guy from New Order. He's not a great vocalist.
He's amazing.
The tone of his voice and the character's awesome.
Yeah. And this is the battle that I think that we're facing right now. The expectation when you listen to, especially a lot of the stuff in the charts, but even not stuff that's in the charts, just stuff that is being made by successful people that are not doing pop. The expectation is for a more pristine, like in tune vocal, and then also quantized drums as well. Like everything has to feel not robotic, but polished and perfect in some way. And for me, it just loses a bit of the. I understand why, and also when I'm writing music for television or for advertising, like I aim for that because that's what people want. But then also when I'm writing for myself, I'm trying to include more of that imperfection in and be okay with it, because some of my favorite artists are Van Morrison, Tom Waits, Bob Dylan. All three of them had on record have some pretty out of tune moments, but that doesn't mean I think they are worse musicians. I think that it actually adds to the mystery of their songwriting and makes it feel more real to me. So yeah, I feel really passionate about not trying to make everything note perfect or in time perfectly. Yeah,
you don't have to use auto-tune. You don't have to use Melodyne for everything.
but
it depends on what the song's for.
It's all dependent on the stylistic context. If you are trying to write a song that is top 40 chart material or meant to be on the Hot 100 for Billboard, like, people care about that. People care. People
auto-tune that vocal.
Yeah, quantize everything. There are specific production aesthetics that you need to follow. It's all about thinking about what's the style I'm working within. How can I do something that will still feel unique, but will be acceptable within that genre as well.
Cool. Do you have any final tips for anyone watching this who wants to start songwriting?
Yes. Look at every moment that you have in your day and think, can I write a song about this? So it might be you are having a conversation with someone and they just say something, they just have a turn of phrase that's really interesting or it's funny. Like, write it down, like stick it in your phone, come back to it, because you could use that in your lyrics. If you're listening to music just on the train, or if you're driving, or if you're walking along, like, listen to it. Like, if it's something you really like, don't just go, oh, that was great. Think, why was that great? What about that moment was fantastic? Was it the chords? Was it the melody? Was it the note that the singer was hitting? Was it the way they sung that note? Was it a performance style thing? Was it the words they were saying? Was it what the arrangement was doing? Like, really think about that. If you're watching TV or you're watching a film, like, I love doing this. I love just watching it, and when it's written really, really well, and a character says something really cool, I'll go, oh, that was great, and I'll write it down, and I'll see if I can use it. Like, there are so many opportunities within your daily life to find inspiration and turn that into a song. The aim for us as songwriters is to be open and receptive to that, and to just try stuff out. I think to persevere, to be okay with the fact that we might not write a good song, to realize when we're really buzzing about an idea and we think it's amazing, to realize that there will be something in there you can do to improve it. And then also, I think just to find people like you who love songs and are really interested in songwriting, and people you can trust to give ideas to, or to even chat about music, and trust their opinion, that they'll give you useful tips to keep going and to write more.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Pete. Thank you for joining me today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Some awesome advice. This is Peter Darling. Be sure to check his stuff out online. If you like this video, remember to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, remember to subscribe. And we'll talk to you soon.